My bad, y'all. Accidentally turned it off. Alright. Let me see what we got going on here in the mulch yard. Okay. Ooh. Oh. Oh. So, the wisdom behind tossing this in the plastic bag is that these have a coating on it that may not break down. Plastic coating. I don't want my chicks eating it, and I don't want this, being toxic. I don't know. But it's a paper bowl, and it has a finish in here, so I'm just going to burn this. How did it get out here? Because I'll be having leftovers from dinner that I'm not trying to eat for breakfast or lunch. So I come out here, the chicks want something to eat, and I give them my leftovers. Dang, this mulch pile looks so small. You rustle this bad boy up, and you really see what's been compacted down. And again, farm work is work, but it's blessed work. Like, you can curse up a storm out here, talk about people you don't care for or behaviors you don't care for. It's forgiving, but it also helps you with frustrations and everything. You can use as much force as you want. It's not going to go to the police. So, So yeah, I just wanted to rustle that up. Alright. Cardboard stay out here. Let me see. Because the straw will be the last thing I put on top. I'll put the straw on top. I gotta see how they playing in the straw over here. So cute and funny. Open this bad boy up. Ugh. Hay is also expensive out here for the season. The better hay, or the hay that was cheaper, is always out of stock. So this cost me about $17 each from Tractor Supply. When I saw the price, I was like, hey! Alright. So I'm going to come back to that mulch pile when I'm ready, because I am going to dump some solid mass in there. This side is all done. Wow! This is like the ultimate pillow fight. With real feathers. Not that fiber filled stuff. This feels like plastic. this is fun. That's why I'm doing this. I could just throw this up here and let the chickadees do it. They'll mix it regardless. But this is fun. And it keeps me warm because it's cold out here. Yeah, so Prigioni, I like that he got spunk for what he likes to do. You know, the quarantine was the best thing that ever happened to some of these YouTubers. That they got time to invest in their own property, their own health. They noticed a lot of things and they want to be better. You know, and that's what it's all about, wanting to be better. Wanting to do better, be better, live better, feel better, think better, talk better. You want all your faculties. Nothing wrong with that. Not everybody want to be a bumbling idiot. And look at how much money they making on rap, being bumbling idiots. Now we tired of hearing ignorance. Now everybody want to boycott the ignorance. You know, but when it was going on, everybody was saying F you to the elders. I remember Ice Cube in them. Again, now they're admitting they weren't gangster. They just wrote gangster shit. Now you're admitting it. But when an activist talked about your lyrics and everything and called you out, what'd you say? Shut up, bitch. And everybody thought that shit was cute because everybody just wanted an excuse to act out, to not be responsible. And we see what that did to the communities. We see what good that did. Now, the government flipped the script on you. Now we want to blame everybody else but us. You know? And then you also got the hypocrisy of, well, this is good for me, but not good for anybody else. And that's fine. But, you know, one thing for sure, and I remember my mother had this argument with my father. Certain music Jane Brown came out with was not conducive to the family dynamic. You know, made my father act funny and get into his shift. You know, and he started to exert his foreskin. So, long story short on that, my mama didn't like it. And my brother started imitating my dad. My mama didn't like it. So she started to complain about it. And they got into arguments and whatnot about it. You know, and not saying that that's not normal. Arguments in the family is very normal, especially when you're trying to raise your kids and all that. And he was on his manhood shit, you know. Don't tell me what I can't say or do. I'm a grown-ass man. But she's like, but you got kids. Your kids ain't grown-ass men. They gonna go out here and act like and talk and do that shit that you're talking. And they gonna get in trouble. At school, with the neighbors, they're gonna constantly be into fights because you can't say and do just any old thing and that you want and whatnot. My father wasn't trying to hear that because he's used to being a badass boxer. So, you know, that was his profession. Ain't too many people willing to talk shit around you without an ass whooping commencing. So he just felt like he was the baddest man on earth. And he didn't, he lived for himself. That's for sure. He definitely lived for himself all the way to the end. He hear you do something or you do something wrong and he want to be the first one to talk back smack and tell you what's not right, what's not wrong. What's not right and what's wrong. But then 3 seconds later, you can't tell him nothing either. So it was like, so I wasn't surprised when my brothers and them was like, man, shut up. Because it created that dynamic. You don't care what nobody say or think when you want to act out. But when it's other people, you want to correct them and tell them how to be. No. Sometimes you guys just got to shut up. If you ain't willing to conform, recognize that somebody else ain't willing to conform. And just move on. You can't force them or push them into, submission because you want them to be into submission. You're not God. And a lot of people have God complexes. Anyway, I say that to say, basically, he didn't want to see his example, what he was doing. He didn't want to be blamed for other people's bad behavior. But he'll be the first one to tell you what ain't right. Hypocrisy is ugly. Ugly behavior. But anyway, it wasn't just him. It was preachers. I'm not going to speak for Christians because though I went to church with many friends to see what it was about, I'm not speaking on that religion. That's for y'all. Y'all got enough people in mainstream. But as far as the Muslims are concerned, two-faced is just what you're accustomed to when you grow up in these kind of families a lot of times. But yeah, so basically he was all about, I do what I do and I tell you what to do. And it didn't work too well. A lot of people had to learn the hard way how to maneuver in this world. And from what I understand from my uncle, Teddy, that my mother's father was the same way. He done did a lot of stuff to mess up some futures. And America has a grudge like that. You go out here and you talk that stuff, just look at what happened with Malcolm X family. They remember all that stuff he say. And yes, people do pay for the sins of their fathers. They sure do. They sure do. Now, I'm pretty sure Malcolm didn't expect his children to have a rough life, as rough as it was. However, he understood the trade-off. You got a rough life anyway with a slave mind. You ain't getting no rest. You might as well fight now anyway. Right? Sure. With that kind of logic, you got to be prepared for it. I get it. Everybody ain't made like that. Everybody ain't for that. So his family had to really live the hard life. Shoot, we lived the hard life. Can you imagine? You can't get help from nobody. Not the government, not the Nation of Islam. Because things were made bad. And even with the offers they want to give you, because of who your father was and what he talked about, they want to give you some BS options to humiliate you, to show that they conquered you, your bloodline. Your father be turning in the grave. So, it is what it is. That's why you got to be aware. If you're going to be an activist and everything, you can't be talking but so much shit, because your children are going to pay for it. They sure will. I'm not saying I don't have the right to talk about no regrets, but I'm just saying in general, we got to think more about the future. Now, I'm not saying conform Because no, that's not what I'm about. However, I am saying, watch your mouth. Be careful what you put out there. Because it's not you who's going to be paying for it all. Look at Marcus Garvey. If you read what he went through, what happened with him, the contracts he made with the government, and how they had to exile his ass. That wasn't too far off in history. But what about his ancestors? Where did that leave him? You know, nobody wants to talk about that. Was it a success? Was it all worth it? Did we really come from Africa? When all your histories in everybody else's museums, gotta make you wonder. But you are what you claim to be. Anywho, what am I doing here? This is a lot of fun, but I'm gonna go outside and rake and shovel the mulch outside the fence and dump it back into the compost bin. Hey ladies. Yes, I'm wearing most of this hay. So, alright. So I'm gonna go out here, shovel and rake and shovel this compost into the compost pile while the ladies are free ranging. Hey ladies, excuse me, excuse them ladies, excuse them, excuse them, excuse them. Excuse them. Yeah, so everything has consequences. If you're going to believe in something, if you're going to do something for the betterment of mankind, your family kind, put them up on it. Teach them. You don't just do what you're going to do and then leave them in a lurch to deal with the punishment. Because that's what we're dealing with now. The punishments of our fathers. I hear you, girl. Go ahead. Nobody's trying to leave you stranded. Go ahead that way. I gotta rake all this up anyway. Move. How you in the back of the backyard? Somebody been digging around in my pot. Where am I going to put this? An idea, let's see. Maybe this will work.